Yes.
Yes? Okay. The revisor is expected to provide a score. We usually give our revisors like a form, and they have to fill that form in and say how many mistakes, what mistakes, how many inaccuracies, what inaccuracies, and so they can give a score. Okay, that is a numeric score. This is theory. Real life is chaos. Okay, because these work processes are very heavy, so difficult, really. Evaluating translate the indicators. Okay, for instance, we talked about the scoring. Let me do the sniper scoring, and we have the indicators. So we provide, we quantify a quality level for each of these. For each of these indicators. So the syntax. Okay, the construction of your sentences, then the lexis, terminology, saying I don't know, castle instead of fortification instead of others. So the right industry-specific term. Then we have comprehension. Me gusta el tinto. I don't like black coffee. Okay, completely. Understood and translated, understood and translated in a completely wrong way. The message doesn't go through. Okay, so comprehension is this one. I understand and I provide and I render the right message. Lexis is I use the right word, industry-specific word. Okay. Syntax is the way you construct a sentence. And then you have a formatting or layout like audio. What I did. So, I want you to smile. Here and there. So the layout of pages is so important because you receive, as an agency, we receive translators that are so poorly formatted that we have to redo them. So a translator is also expected to be able to do desktop publishing. That is, I know how to use the Word, InDesign, PowerPoint programs, and I know how to fix pages. That's very important. And other criteria, okay, perfect. So, you know what? It's very interesting. I mean, just focus on these three ones. Comprehension is crucial. If you don't understand something, you're not supposed to, to translate it correctly. It will never pass through. If you don't understand something, I tell you, your syntax will go down, will be poor. Okay, you will not be using the right word, but this is taken for granted. But I tell you, sometimes when the syntax is poor, it is because there is a lack of comprehension. Okay? So when we give a score and we evaluate the syntax, maybe several times we will come out with a very low level comprehension as well. If I don't understand something, I try to give an interpretation. I try to, put together a general sentence that gives me some way out. Lovely. Syntax analysis, and we skip it. And formatting. Please also always remember you need to format things properly. How much time do I have? Like 5 hours again? Can I have time? I have time, okay. Perfect. Okay, now that's so important. Mother tongue translators, they can be named mother tongues or native speakers. What is a native speaker? We are all native speakers. I presume you are Spanish native speakers because you are locals here. I'm an Italian native speaker because I was born and I was raised, speaking Italian. So Italian is my native language. I'm so supposed to write Italian. Okay, you are supposed to write Spanish. Okay? Please don't write in English, because it will sound awkward. Like, I'm not supposed to write in English. I may, but I don't. I don't, because that's not my native language. I'm Italian. So, it has to be so. Because if I write something in English, okay, maybe something in my writing will be good, because I know what I'm writing about. I can find some very good words here and there, but my syntax will be poor, very inaccurate, or it will sound strange to an English person. Because of that reason, we open up offices in countries, in foreign countries, in order to hire in-house native speakers. Okay. For instance, we have an office in the UK, in Bristol, because translation into English is so important for us that we need every day lots of translators for the English language. And you have to go local. You really have to go local. But remember, your English translator should be based in England or in the US if you want the US variant. I mean, they should live there and stay in contact with their native language every day. I tell you, I went to Germany, like I left Italy. I spent like 6-7 months in Germany. After 2 months, I couldn't speak to the phone to my mom because my sentences were Germanized. So it was really. And as a linguist, I really found it. It is so. You lose it. You lose it. So please, we refer to inland native speakers. So if you search for a colleague capable of, assisting you with an English language, search for somebody, for some English person living in Britain. But that's not enough, because if you take 10 persons, like from London, I tell you, maybe one of them is capable of writing in a correct way. We made the statistics years ago, and now I use the pointer. I want to be precise. Only 16% of native speakers, according to our registration, passes the entry test in terms of terminology, in terms of syntax. And we are talking about people who candidated as professional translators. Not like, we're not talking about people who sell cars via English and they try to translate. We're talking about graduates from UK universities with a certain degree of experience already in their hands, and we are talking about what is 100 minus 16%, 84% of people failing the test, but failing the test. So when you find brilliant CVs, like I am, like the monster of Manhattan, I tell you, 16% is the likelihood that that person can pull out a work that is qualitatively satisfactory. And believe me, it's a problem. And those who go abroad gradually lose their lose their syntactic. I told you. If you leave Colombia and you go to China, after 6 months, your Spanish will lose a little bit of ground. So, but it is so. And here, okay, the local language variants, very important. We're not just talking about English, the UK variant, the American variant, the Australian variant. We're also talking about, you know, Africa, for instance. In Africa, we have countries where the official language is maybe English, is maybe French. In some other countries in the world you can have Spanish. So, but those variants are a little bit different. Okay, how do you call them? Criolla? Here you call it so? No, not the Criolla. It is a mix. It is a mix between the local dialects, the local way of saying things, and it is really a mess. So, for instance, we have big problems with translators from Kenya. They do speak English, but it really migrates from the original British standard. And so, also when you talk about translators, you have pros and cons. And when you talk about linguists contracted to be a translator, of course, in that case too, you have pros and cons. Because a linguist may not necessarily know the sector, like a text on cardiology. I am a general translator. I have not attended a cardiology school. So maybe I treated my cat when she was ill, but nothing more. And so in that case, linguists lack the understanding. Coming back, this one, the comprehension. Okay, they lack the comprehension, and so lacking the comprehension, their translation will seem a little bit awkward. Terminology will go down, and you may have mistakes, yeah. And syntax may also go down a little bit, as we saw. And then what else? Of course, it may be frustrating when you begin your career as a translator, and you will receive back your translation corrected by people who have not studied translation, but maybe by people of the staff of your client, maybe by a secretary who has not studied translation, but she knows what that machine is, she knows the product, she knows the reality of a client enterprise, and she's in a position to correct it. And this may be kind of shocking, you know, because you will receive back texts with the technical corrections. I mean, use that word and don't use that one, but they will give you like a sentence that is absolutely linguistically incorrect. And so, they may contribute with their technical experience. You contribute with your linguistic experience because you are supposed to put together a good sentence. And the best way is to make the most of these two positions, of these two contributions. So the best result will be the result of a dialogue, the dialogue between you as a linguist and them as industry experts. They will contribute with the comprehension, maybe with some level of terminology as well. You will contribute with your ability to put things together and make things comprehensible to the other people, because you know how to make a sentence that gives a message according to the audience, according to your local, to your target audience. Because when I write a book intended for children, you know, for the babies, for children, I use you know how to put together sentences that are intended, that shall be understood by children. If you have to write something for like a university symposium, you know how to put it in that form. And this is your real contribution, putting together sentences that are targeted to the specific audience, because you have that sense, that feeling, you can do it. Industry-specific experts, we talked about them. It's the cardiologist. It is the secretary of the enterprise who will retouch your terminology. And they do have, of course, problems, because they lack mostly they lack the syntax. They lack time as well, because you're waiting for the correction done by your client staff. You're waiting for that, but finally it will not come on time, because the client staff has other things to do. They don't have time to, fix your texts, because, come on, they are there to do their job, and their job is maybe selling the machines to their clients. And this can be a problem, believe me. So try to arrange with your client when you're entrusted with a service. Try first of all to arrange with your client for a time frame when you can have a dialogue. Try to have it. Everyone's strengths and weaknesses. Wow, I love this. And weaknesses. Be aware of your weaknesses, because we are not Superman. We are not Superman. We have to be aware of our weaknesses, and we have to utilize our strength at best. Let's interact with others to achieve a positive final result. Even if we entrust everything to Superman, we still have to check for any oversights, of course. Oversights may happen. So working in a team is necessary. That's what I told you before. And this is value. No, wait. This is value. Working in a team. Okay? The work process, not just the translator, because the translator is one of the bricks on the house. It is a teamwork. It is a teamwork that is controlled through the project management. Sergio, Steffi here, Giovanni, they know a little bit about project management now. As my colleagues here in this room, they've started, assisting us with project management here locally, and so they can really confirm that the project management is really difficult. It's really difficult, and it calls for when you are an agency, it calls for dedicated staff. Do you know what dedicated staff is? People who just work as project managers, full stop. Not that they translate, they do some project management, they also, I don't know, come on. They have to be dedicated, because it is so time consuming. It calls for such a high level of expertise that you develop with time, and in order to become a good project manager, it may call for like 1 hour and a half, 1 hour, so 1 year and a half. So 1 year and a half or 2 years. It's really a long lapse of time, because you have to know how to deal with people, first of all. And we are all very strange, okay? Very strange. You have to be a psychologist, because people burn out, especially when deadlines are stringent. They freak out, basically. So you have to be a psychologist. You have to be an economist as well, because you have you have a budget, and you have to come to the end of the day with a margin, full stop. And these two things may conflict sometimes. We need to make profit, and we need to solve things with the others. This may cause some issues, and you have to solve those issues in an adequate way. Then you have to possess enough IT skills and capabilities, as information technology is so crucial today that you have an upsurge in, like, do you know what computer-assisted translation is? CapTools, Trados, Deja-Vu, IBM, WordFest, no? Perfect. I can tell you there is artificial intelligence as well nowadays coming in a very important way. And so a project manager has to possess enough competences in the use of these programs. And of course, they are also supposed to make an analysis. Yeah, an analysis of service specifications. What do my client need? What is the car they need? Like, you know, so you have to assess, to identify the quality level requested, as I told you, that's so important. Then you have to collect the reference material. Please translate this manual. Okay, give me your old manuals so that I can have a basis to begin with, so that I can have a reference terminology, because I want to be consistent with your reference terminology, if that terminology was correct. In a matter of 10 seconds, I gave you 4 big issues. Okay? I want to use your terminology as a basis. Why? Because I use it for the CAD tools. Because I want to keep terminology consistent throughout all the enterprise material, throughout all the documents. So I use CAD tools. I want to check with your client if that terminology, the terminology that you possess, is correct. So client, have you verified and validated terminology, all the terminology that you have in your archives, that you have in your translation memories? Can we say that it is validated and that we can use it or not? Or maybe that was translated by a web agency, you know, a sad picture, do you remember those agencies for 12 months? So this has to be checked with the client, because you don't want to use terminology that comes out to be incorrect, because you will be faulty then. You will be, you know, guilty. So this has to be checked with your client, okay? And then estimating a project duration. So you really have to estimate how long does it take to do the translation, how long does it take to correct it, how long does it take to fix the issues, the problems that will certainly emerge, how long does it take to fix the formatting, how long does it take to replenish, to update the terminology, the TMs, the terminology members, yes? And then you want to formulate a detailed project proposal to the client, of course, the offer. Appointing translators and revisers. This has to be done. And when you, let's say that you work in an agency, okay? You appoint the translators, and then straight away you appoint the revisers, who will receive the text from the translators at a certain date. But you have to appoint them in that time, in order for them to stay there and wait for the text when the text arrives. And you have to monitor every stage of the work process. So every day you call those people and see that everything is okay, that the entire process runs smoothly. It's a lot of work. Project man, some tips. Give your team prior notice. It seems banal, but I tell you it is not. It is not banal. Inform people beforehand. I know that a major project will come in like 10 days or 15 days. So I may take a proactive move, call my translator and say, in 10 days a major project will arrive. Take notice, okay? You know, please consider that we will have this to do together in like 10 days or so. Give them a prior notice, always, because people are not there for you. They have their own commitments. Always remember it. And you may have one person like free now, but in 5 minutes, if that person is a freelancer, should be out for another job. So use the prior notices, always. Say things in advance. And think of the quality kit. We call it quality kit. It is the collection of reference material ranging from reference contact, like my dear translator, Emily is the person of the client staff you can refer to if you have questions. And please ask. Please ask, because you are supposed to ask questions. You are not Superman. Okay? We always expect translators to ask for something. Personally, if a translator does not ask for something, for anything, I am afraid. Really. It is the first indicator that you are going to have a problem with a text. Because we are talking about cardiology, like me. It's not treating your, like treating your pet. So, give them a reference person if you are an agency, or if you are a translator, ask the agency or ask your client to have a reference person, a technical person, with technical knowledge. A person, maybe the person who wrote that text, maybe a person who can understand you, who can help you in understanding some steps. And if you are good, you will make questions. If you are good. If you are a good translator, you will have doubts. If you are not a good translator, you will have no doubts. Because you are not understanding anything. Okay? Now, with time and with experience, you will not ask that much, but please ask. And then reference material, we said, all the TMs. Do you know what a translation memory is? Yes? Okay. They have to be verified and validated by the client. I repeat it. They have to be usable. Okay. Or ask for glossaries. Ask for corpora. Corpora are reference documents. Big masses of data, usually. Training and information, yes, I have a very fun story. How long do I have? How much time do I have left?
20 minutes.
20 minutes, okay.
15, 20 minutes.
I go fast. We have a very technical client now, and we organize like workshops in the client's factory in order for our translators to see things, to touch the machines and to understand how they fix. This is an arms and weapons constructor, so we're talking about a very technical industry sector that requests you to go there and see things. And then project specifications, okay. No, I go through because I move on, because I wanted to answer your questions. So, making the translator aware of the need for checking the translation. Yes, what I told you before. Okay, please ask me. If you don't ask me, I'm scared. Revision by section. Yes, I have 10,000 pages, and so I divide 10,000 pages can be translated in a matter of several days, several weeks. So every week I will give the reviser like one piece of that work, so that the work process is so. Okay, okay, overlapping with a certain distance. First batch translated, revised. Second batch translated, revised. It goes so, okay? And if you do so, the reviser will give a feedback to the translator, and the translator is still in a position to improve. And so with the next batch, with the next delivery of that text, the result will be improved. That's very important. Yes, reviser proofreads twice, if you have time. Because you take a text, you wrote it, let's say, and please read it like at a distance of 2 or 3 days. Because you have a kind of a refresh in your mind, you don't remember anything from that text, and so maybe that's the best way for you to find errors or to adjust sentences. The same for us, but deadlines are usually very stringent, and so it will be hard for you to have 2 or 3 days left waiting. So very, very, very difficult. PM checks. Also, the project manager is expected to do some checks. Checks like the formatting, how is it? Has my translator translated all the paragraphs? That should be checked by the reviser as well. But please always check. So the project manager checks all of these things, and these things, so the correctness of the Lexis, for instance, can be checked by the CAT tools as well. So the CAT tools are not an instrument just to save money. I tell you, CAT tools are an instrument in your hands to improve quality. They can do these checks for you because they have like a memory of terminology that was approved by the client, and that when the translator gives you their work, the CAT tool checks that those terms have been translated using that terminology. So CAT tools are crucial for quality. Yes, better in-house. Translators and revisers better in-house. You may understand that I am pretty much against freelancing. I don't know why. You may have understood it. I don't think that freelancing is socially sustainable in the first line. I don't think that it gives a person a possibility to grow steadily. I prefer something more regular. So our approach is that of contracting translators and have them in-house, so that they are secure, they have their salary, they don't have to wait for works coming in, maybe the next day, maybe midnight. It's better, we can train them, and okay, we can do this with the Filipino, because we translate the Filipino once a month, so, but this can be done for the major languages. So better in-house, better, more stability, better social security, it all boils down to better quality. Linguistic research, yes, we talked about CAT tools, we talked about terminology applications. This all calls for investigación y desarrollo, research and development, that is crucial for a company, and we have dedicated staff investigating the new things coming up in the CAT tools. And CAT tools, here they are. Consistency and the time saving. Consistency in terminology is so crucial, and time saving, of course. They cut down on time. So to conclude and answer your question, what is needed for a good translator? Revision and review. By the way, revision is when you compare the two texts, the source text and the translated text. Both, you read them both, okay? Review is when you just read the final translation, okay? Always check out for that. So a dedicated PM role, project manager role, offices abroad, because we want to have in-house translators locally, in-house translation staff, linguistic research staff, for R&D and in major investment in CAD tools. And let me tell you, the future will be a mix between artificial intelligence, CAD tools, and the translator becoming an editor. Because we presume that the role of a translation next to come will be that of an editor, retouching and reshaping and checking the basic translation done by the machine on the basis of memories. Okay, so quality is needed for the translator becoming an editor. Quality and competence. If you lack competence, it will be hard because the machine will overcome you. Okay, a poor translator by an unexperienced translator will be in a matter of I wouldn't say years, but in a couple of years will be replaced. Will be replaced by the machine, because poor quality comes best at zero cost with the machine. You are expected to use your brain, because your brain is the only way not to have a sad picture and cry loud, but to have a role in society and contribute with your value. Okay? That's my final message. And now we're ready for questions or... Oh, well. Yeah.
I don't think we want
If you want to ask in Spanish, it's not a problem.
I would like to know more about your company and like your specialties. And because of course, I thought when I came here, you were going to be talking more about what can we do in a company like yours.
In a
company like yours. And
okay.
then I also want to know, because at first you started talking about money. And that's
Talking about
money.
Okay.
And that's something so important, of course, you say so. And for us millennials, we also expect to have the perfect job. As a translators, we can be freelancers, but you said like they have something in home. So for me, how can I have freelance as a translator and the perfect life, like